Hi, my name is Jeff Sanders. I work with the UVM Extension Northwest Crops and Soils team, and today, right now, we are going to talk a little bit about a interseeding variety trial that is taking place at the research farm here up in Elburg. And today we're talking about interseeding cover crops. And the importance of interseeding cover crops is that we get a lot more diversity in the cover crops, and right here where this farm sits, we're at the 45th parallel, so we're halfway between the equator and the North Pole. And in our typical corn cropping systems here, the corn comes off in September, often in October, depending on the growing season. So we have a very short time window to get cover crops planted and get good cover going into winter to stop erosion and sequester nutrients. So the idea behind interseeding is we get those cover crops planted much earlier in the season, and by doing that it gives us the opportunity to do a lot more diverse plantings. We can plant radishes, small grains, legumes, and a bunch of other warm season grasses, cool season grasses, versus post-harvest cover cropping, where really we're limited to winter grains, let's say like winter rye, winter wheat, and things like that. So here we have done a bunch of trials, and so we're testing different products, different mixes, and we have radishes here and legumes, and this is a replicated trial. It's quite large, and so we're trying to figure out how best to get cover crops to grow when you interseed them. And the things that we have found out over the years, we've been doing this for quite a few years, is the three driving factors. The most important factors are, number one's probably the herbicide program that's being used. Number two is moisture during the season around planting to get good germination, and number three is the amount of sunlight that reaches the soil surface to help the cover crops grow. So after that, we have to pay attention to planting depth and other field conditions. But so we've done a lot of work on that, and we're working on a big CIG grant right now on 30 different farms evaluating interseeded cover crops. And so that's one of the things that's going on at the farm. And in a minute, we'll talk about some of the equipment that we use to do that. Hi, we're back again talking about interseeding cover crops, and as part of a CIG grant a few years ago, UVM Extension acquired this Hagie Highboy, and we use this to interseed thousands of acres over a few years. And what it does is it opens up and it lays the cover crop seed out in about a 60-foot wide pattern. It's very similar to broadcasting the seed, except for it places the seed under the leaf canopy of the corn, so that the seed doesn't get hung up in the whorls of the corn. And we had mixed success with this. We originally thought that it was due to the lack of the seed being incorporated into the soil, and so we switched it up and got some different machines that we will show you in just a minute. And at this point in time, with some of the successes that we've had, we're thinking about revisiting the use of this, thinking that maybe it has more to do with herbicide programs that were being used on the farms that we were interseeding into, versus the fact that we are applying the seed on top of the ground instead of into the ground. These interseeders that have been built for UVM Extension, they're the main workhorses of our interseeding program. The one over here, the older BZ Manufacturing uses Dawn Durocedar row units, and that unit has interseeded thousands of acres. and has worked quite well. And this year we just recently acquired this unit, which uses a fenning row unit from Fenning Equipment in Ohio, and that we haven't really tested yet. We're gonna test it a lot more next year. And then the third type of interceder that puts the seed in the ground is this Interceder Technologies Interceder. This one here is used strictly on the research farm, but we also have a 15-foot model that is very similar that we use out and allow farmers to interseed their crops with. And so all of these units place the seed in the ground and in between the rows of corn. And we find that to be a better way at this point of interseeding. It is much slower than the Hagee Highboy, but we are actually drilling the seed into the ground. And one consideration when we do that is how straight your rows are is a consideration, and how deep you're putting the seed in the ground, and how much that varies if the soil conditions or the field conditions are rough. And it does make a difference in how well that cover crop gets established. But we thought we would show you some pictures of these units, and they all work well, and they all have their strengths and weaknesses. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the Northwest Crops and Soils team at UVM Extension, and we will answer them the best we can. Thank you.